Today's episode of Titus and Tate is brought to you by the Maui Invitational. Are you ready to join your fellow boosters and basketball fans at the premier early season college basketball tournament? Then you have to go to the 2021 Maui Jim Maui Invitational that will feature Butler, Chaminade, Houston, Notre Dame, Oregon, St. Mary's, Texas A&M, and Wisconsin as they compete for the coveted Wayne Duke Championship Trophy. Sounds so good to say that again. Fans can reserve a school-specific 3-game booster package or catch all 12 games through the purchase of an all-tournament package. That includes tickets, that includes a hotel, that includes shuttle to and from the Lahaina Civic Center for all the games, and of course, a pair of Maui Jim sunglasses. Early bird pricing ends July 30th, so you better do it ASAP. Head to MauiInvitational.com and make your reservations now. And today we will release the Maui Invitational bracket.
Let's go.
Oh my gosh, here we go. We're almost there. Let's do it.
On today's episode of Titus and Tate, as you just heard, we will be releasing exclusively, exclusive, a scoop. We don't get a lot of scoops.
Eat your heart out, John Ross.
We do not get a lot of scoops around these parts, but this is one of them we get every year.
Coach K we got.
We got Coach K.
We got the big fish. That's all that
I take
really
it back.
matters.
We do get a lot of scoops.
Oh, you're right.
No, we don't get a lot of scoops. We just, the scoops we get are massive. They are Coach K is retiring, and here are the matchups of the Maui Invitational. We are going to release the bracket for the 2021 Maui Invitational to be played, folks, in the Lahaina Civic Center.
Yes, say it again.
We are not playing in Asheville.
In the land.
It will not be snowing this year at the Maui Invitational.
Last year was the Camping World Maui Invitational. Think
Get
about that
out of my face. No disrespect to Camping World, but be gone.
You know, we love Asheville. We love Camping World. But
at the same time,
Maui's different.
Maui Jim is back.
Yes.
We're excited. So we will be revealing the bracket. We'll be talking about that. Also, we're going to talk to Sam Vecenie, our friend who comes on this time. Well, not this time of year. This time of year being draft year. Not so much the calendar. You know what I'm saying?
Season,
draft
I
season.
Guess. Yes.
He is an NBA draft expert. He writes for The Athletic. I saw that he just pumped out his massive column that, like, if you started reading it right now, I think you might be able to finish it before the draft starts.
So go read right now. Hit pause.
So actually go read. We love having Sam on. He's great. He doesn't take himself too seriously. He fits well with the show in that regard. But he also knows his stuff, and we're two idiots that do our best to guess on this stuff.
Sam was the guy that was watching actual footage of Luka Doncic over in EuroLeague, telling us that we were idiots.
He's one of the few.
He was going to be great. We were like, Sam, we believe you. Now we'll change course.
Yeah, he's one of the few guys that believed in Luka before the draft, and I was like, all right, well, I trust you.
Yeah.
Everyone else shut up. So we're going to talk to Sam. Also, might get to a little conference realignment talk because it is now official.
SEC.
Texas and Oklahoma are gone. They're out of the Big 12. Will the SEC take them? If Texas
will
A&M,
the SEC take the ACC? Because we are standing up and we are saying,
please,
we're ready.
If Texas A&M has anything to say about it,
NC State to the Big 10 though.
There you go. If Texas A&M has anything to say about it, maybe Texas will not join the SEC. But I have a feeling Texas A&M, your vote does not count.
Well, it counts as one. Everyone else says
they're gonna turn their vote in, and like all the other schools are gonna crumple it up, throw it in the trash can.
They're looking around. They're like, you said no, dude, you said.
A jam-packed show today. We are so excited. All of it is coming up. But first,
Woody Durham.
Business. It's time, Tate. We don't have time to lollygag. We don't have time to mess around. Very serious business. We are wearing our Tommy Bahamas. We are wearing our Maui Jims. As I said, we are excited to get back.
Stop playing with us. The Maui boys are back. We missed last year. We were a little upset about it, but we still made the Camping World Asheville Invitational happen. But now we're really back where we need to. We're where we belong.
It was so uncomfortable being in Asheville last year.
Yes.
Not so much because it was freezing cold. Not because I wish I was in Maui. It was because all the people that host the Maui Invitational put it on, all the great people behind the scenes, they had to do their best to put on a brave face and be like,
they were wearing the Hawaiian shirts. We tried for one day, but
they were like, we promise we're happy to be here. We promise we love Asheville. We love the city of Asheville.
I love Asheville. It's a great city. It's not Maui. It's just different.
It's just different.
It is the Maui of the East now.
Maui. You're saying Maui's built different?
It's just built different.
It's built different. Let's get down to business, though. We don't have time to screw around.
Okay.
Let's give the people what they came here for, which is scoops.
Reveal.
Scoops. We have the reveal. The 2021 Maui Invitational bracket is as follows. The first game tipping off at 9 a.m. local time in Hawaii, which is, I believe, 2 p.m. Eastern, if my math is correct. The very first game to tip off the 2021 Maui Invitational. The Texas A&M Aggies.
Maui Jim Maui Invitational now. Again.
The Maui Jim Maui
Yes.
Invitational.
Check out the Maui
The
Jim.
Texas A&M Aggies
Yes.
will be playing the Wisconsin Badgers.
Wow.
Buzzcut Brad versus
Boom.
Buzzcut Buzz Williams
Yes.
in a buzz off. Opener up
Bring
the Maui
your
Invitational.
buzzsaw. It's going
Let's
to be
go.
a fun time. This is also, if you talk about NBA fans, this is the Chris Middleton versus Giannis game.
Ooh.
Wisconsin versus Texas A&M.
Great
You can
point.
frame it that way.
Yep.
But I like what you said. We got Buzz.
Wisconsin versus Texas. Did you say we can frame it Wisconsin versus Texas? 'Cause
No, we
that's
can frame it Giannis versus
Okay,
Giannis is
okay.
going to own Wisconsin because
Okay.
he owns Frank Kaminsky now after the finals.
Okay.
So he's going to represent Wisconsin. Chris Middleton's going to represent his alma mater,
Okay.
Texas A&M.
Gotcha.
They're going to show down. But other than that, we got to say shout out to both Buzzcut Brad because he broke my heart last time I saw him
That's
play
right.
against North Carolina.
That's right.
So
Both schools have.
I will be pulling against
Both
them.
schools have had a lot of drama in the offseason. Wisconsin, the Greg
Oh,
Gard
yes.
tape is released.
Mm.
They were sussing out what the hell happened there.
Yes.
Who's saying what about what? Where's the program at now? We'll find out. Meanwhile, Texas A&M with all the conference realignment stuff, people are bringing up Texas A&M.
Yes.
Are they upset that Texas and Oklahoma seem to be joining the SEC?
They're actually not
I
mad.
don't
They're
know.
just laughing.
They're just laughing.
Yes.
Yeah, they don't care.
Okay.
So that's game one. A great game out of the gate. The winner of that game will play the winner of Butler and Houston.
Yes.
In game two.
Whoa.
Houston coming off a Final Four appearance. A lot of people forget that Houston went to the Final Four last year.
No, they
but
don't.
did.
They don't forget that. Jordan Brand is going to remind us that Houston and Kelvin Sampson went to the Final Four last year.
This is a big opportunity for Butler because LaVar Jordan, he is in a position, Tate, where he, it's kind of a crossroads year. I think Butler wasn't very good last year. 2 years ago, Butler would have made the NCAA tournament, but the tournament was canceled. So
Yep.
coming into this season, our eyes are on Butler. Can they figure it out? Can Butler turn around? Can we get back to the Brad Stevens Butler, the Thad Matta Butler,
This
the
feels
Todd
like a
Licklider
great
Butler?
moment for Butler to get an upset over a Final Four team, coming back without their best player, Quentin Grimes, of course, going to the NBA. And we went to Hinkle Fieldhouse when we were, at the Final Four, so we saw the Magic up close and in person, and I bought back in. I believe again.
And Houston will be pretty good, by the way. So this would be a good win for Butler if they can pull it off. But we'll see. Houston will be a good team. That is the top half of your bracket, Tate. In the bottom half of your bracket, we have the Oregon Ducks.
Let's go.
We'll be playing the host school,
Yes.
the Chaminade Silver Swords. Who, people look at this bracket, Tate, and I think they say Chaminade. What is Chaminade? Who is Chaminade? How is Chaminade in here? And I just want to remind everybody, Chaminade, once upon a time,
They are the host.
beat the University of Virginia.
Yes.
when
With Ralph Sampson.
was
Mike
number one in the
Wilbon was at
country.
that game.
Mike Wilbon was there. So you're looking at this, you're saying Chaminade has no chance. I say I disagree. Chaminade is a darling. Every year that they play in this, they get the hometown fans cheering for them, and we are certainly not counting them out.
No, not at all. And every single time that they do get in the tournament, now it's every other time.
Yeah.
They show up and they show out. They almost beat the number one pick, Anthony Edwards.
That's
he had
right.
a game winner against
That's
them
right.
the last time they were in the tournament. So people forget.
Sleep on Chaminade at your own peril. I will
Yes.
say that.
but also you can make, the number one picks, highlight film for the NBA draft.
But also at the same time, I think Oregon, as I look at the field, Oregon will probably be the favorite to win this
I
thing.
think so.
And that's a tough first round draw for Chaminade.
Well,
but,
that's usually what they get.
That's how it works. Yeah, for hosting the tournament, they always get a raw
do
deal.
not get the best
They always
draw.
get a raw deal. So that would leave us with the final game of the
Yes.
first round of opening day, which will tip off at 11:30 p.m. Eastern.
November 22nd. This is when this is happening. Yeah.
6:30 p.m. Hawaiian time
Yes.
will be St. Mary's versus Notre Dame. Tate. Mike Bray. I don't know.
Mike Bray after dark. My goodness.
Don't know if people are aware of this. Mike Bray is 74-0 in Maui.
Yes, never lost.
For his career. Never. Do not fact check that. Do not look it up. Just hear that
Never
fact,
lost.
absorb it as
Wears
fact,
shorts.
and
Is shirtless most of the time.
go about your day.
And he's been on our program. We asked him about the Maui experience. He got very excited, Titus. And for us to be able to cover him there as journalists, we will be there. We will be following Mike Bray. I cannot wait.
St. Mary's, by the way, is Australia's national basketball team playing well. A bump for St. Mary's.
Yes.
St. Mary's going to hit the ground running. Like if Australia can medal in the Olympics, Should we be worried about the trickle down?
Are you calling this the Jock Landell effect? Because this is what it feels like. Jock,
Dellavedova, Patty Mills.
Yes.
I feel like if Australia medals, that's good momentum for St. Mary's as a program, and that's something to keep an eye on. But at the same time, Notre Dame and Maui, who wants to bet against that?
Also, St. Mary's, if they make a run, if they really make a run, it's great for Gonzaga at the end of the day. Gonzaga needs a counterpart in their conference. It might be LMU, a sleeping giant, but St. Mary's is right there.
So there you have it. There's the bracket. We are excited to check this out. A loaded field as always. A lot of recognizable.
A lot of characters that we love in our universe. So it's going to be a good time. Mike Bray again is going to be the mascot. He's going to be our guiding light. Bill Walton is going to be there. Big Wave Billy.
Yep.
The last time we were there in Maui was 2019. He blessed us with some great wisdom, some great advice, some great coverage from the sideline, and we get to be with him again.
I got to say this too: the Maui Invitational always. It always serves as the opening ceremonies, if you will, of college basketball. I think the Champions Classic has come along and said we will be the premier opening event. Good try. You tried. We appreciate your effort. Get out of here. It's not the.
It actually leads us astray 9 times out of 10.
Yes, it still feels like a preseason deal. Like no one can remember who won what the champions get. It doesn't matter. The Champions Classic does not matter. It's a made-for-TV event just for those 4 programs. We don't care. What we care about is Maui, which happens a couple weeks later. That is the official tip-off of the college basketball season. And Tate, I got to say, this year more than any other, I think Maui serves a very important role in college basketball. An announcement that we are back, not just you and I, back on the island, but college basketball's back. We're going to have the Lahaina Civic Center full. We're going to have Big Wave Billy there. The whole scene is going to be awesome. Mike Bray will take his shirt off at some point, I'm sure. And it'll be great, and I'm excited to be there.
And we will end the week with the Wayne Duke Trophy on the roof, as we always do, and celebrating the champions that we just saw play. So come join us in Maui. It's going to be a great time.
Put me down for Notre Dame, Wisconsin championship game. I think that's my. I got Wisconsin over Notre Dame. I don't know how much I like that, actually.
I like Oregon over Houston. That's what I'm
I think those are going to be the best teams. I was thinking from storyline perspective, Wisconsin over Notre Dame.
I like Oregon versus Houston because it's Nike versus Jordan. Then I'm happy.
All right.
That's all I can do.
There you have it. That is the Maui Invitational Field. Is there anything else we got to
Yeah, Maui Jim. Any thoughts? We finally have Maui Jim on the way this year. Any thoughts on the tournament? Are you excited?
I can't wait. It's going to be the greatest ever.
All right, joining us now is a NBA draft expert, a man who has forgotten more about the NBA draft than Tate and I will ever know. His name is Sam Vecenie. He's been on the program a million times. He's very much a friend of the program. You can read his work at The Athletic. I saw, Sam, how many words was the full are we done, first of all? Are we adding any more words to it? What was the final word count on this year's draft guide?
So I ended up writing like 106 names, publishing 100, because like dudes like Kofi Coburn decided that they were not declaring for the draft after just saying like early on in the process, we're definitely gone. So I ended up writing like 106 names. It's probably like 130,000 words, I think. I mean,
Sam,
it's just laughable.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. I mean, and you're in Australia, which is basically the basketball capital of the world, for people right now. So, you deserve to write all those words.
Right.
And as we said earlier in the show, Sam is always the person that when you see a recruit like a Garuba, like a Usman Garuba, and you're like, I haven't really heard of this guy. You obviously were watching the Olympics right now, but you didn't really know much. Like, I trust that Sam actually watched Garuba and knows what's going on.
I've lovingly referred to Sam as the head of the human centipede, the NBA draft human centipede, where Sam is the one crapping into everyone else's mouth. He's the one that actually like ate the information, and then he just craps it into everyone else's mouth and just keeps going down the line. And they just like look at Sam and regurgitate.
Honestly, what a great mental image.
That's
really. This is what I needed.
That's one way to say you're credible. I want to do this out of the jump so people understand exactly what kind of draft analyst we're working with here. We'll start with the bad. What is historically the worst draft take you've ever had looking back on your time doing this?
Great question.
And then we'll do the best. But start with the worst. What's the one you're like, I can't believe I thought that?
Oh, there are a bunch. Like it's not ridiculous. I would say Rudy Gobert. I thought Rudy Gobert was like not great when I saw him. What I didn't know, and I was like,
I was,
yeah, like I was dumb at the time. I didn't have as many like sources as I did to know that, oh, this guy's a crazy worker and he's going to get into like the absolute best shape of his life. But like when you watch the tape in France, like he was just like a 7'2" guy with a 7'8" wingspan that could kind of catch and couldn't really move all that well. It was just all tools. So yeah, I didn't think he was going to be very good at all, and he's become an all NBA player. And
I mean, he beat
like
Team USA. I should say.
Yeah,
I can't be laughing that he literally just beat us. True. So shout out to Rudy Gobert.
What about the good? What's the take that like you're like I was ahead of this before everyone else, and I'm a genius?
Say Giannis.
Yeah.
No, I thought Giannis was fine. I had Giannis right around where he was. I would say I had Jason Tatum number 2 when everyone else had him at like, 5, 6, 7, and the Celtics were all over him. I had LaMelo 1 last year. That looks pretty good right now.
You were right. Yeah. You were right.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Well, of course you think I was right, Tate.
I mean, look, if you're the Golden State Warriors, you have to be kicking yourselves that you did not draft LaMelo Ball. I mean, I know Wiseman could end up being good. Obviously, I think he has a lot of talent, but if they had LaMelo, we're talking about a different team. But different conversation.
Speaking of last year's draft, Sam, last year's draft, if I remember correctly, was bad. That was like the theme. Was like, is Anthony Edwards really going to go number 1? Should we take LaMelo 1? No one wanted to talk themselves into any of these guys.
Yep.
This year seems to be different. It seems that people, certainly the top 4 people seem to be excited about. What if you had to boil it down to like one bullet point of what this draft is, not necessarily good or bad, but just like the theme of the draft, the feel of the draft. That's how we have to do things these days. Is like we have to
give me the vibe.
You have to have the vibe of what this draft is. What is the vibe of the 2021 NBA draft?
Yeah, so I'll give you 2 words. I would say top heavy, because the top 4 I think is exceptional. I think that all of the Cade Cunningham, Jalen Suggs, Jalen Green, Evan Mobley class would have gone number 1 last year at the end of the day. On top of that, I would say this is a really good shooting draft. I think there are a lot of high-level shooters that are going to come out of this draft and enter a league that is as desperate as ever to find more floor spacing, to find more guys that can consistently provide space for their lead ball creators to operate.
Sorry, as I was just thinking about the top 4 because I mean, I think Titus and I, we're college basketball guys, so we would assume that. I think there's a top 3 in my mind, right? There's Cade Cunningham, there's Evan Mobley, and I understand that, Jalen, there are 2 Jalens, and most everyone would say probably Jalen Green is the 3rd, but Jalen Suggs, what he did in the tournament, what he was able to do at Gonzaga, obviously going undefeated, I think those are our top 3. So can you sell us on the other guy? Can you sell us on Jalen Green? Because I watched some Ignite games. I've seen the highlights.
Bullshit.
I've seen the highlights. I've heard Zach LaVine be thrown down as a shades of, which I enjoy. But can you just what do we see in Jalen Green? And it sounds like he's going to be the number 2 pick, right? As of now, it seems like Houston, they can't talk to Mobley, and they're kind of de facto going to Jalen Green.
Yeah, so my impression is Jalen Green, as of this moment, is most likely to go number 2 overall. I personally am kind of with you guys. I have the 3 college guys in the top 3 of my board.
Let's go.
I have Jalen Green 4. I really like Jalen Green. I think that he's one of the best scoring prospects I've ever evaluated. He's just crazy explosive and can get to his step back whenever he wants. He's a real shooter at a high level. But he doesn't really pass all that well. He's not a great defender.
Yep.
I think it's going to take some time with him at the end of the day to become a winning basketball player, not necessarily a good basketball player. I think he'll score basically from the jump in the NBA. But I mean, I look at someone like Jalen Suggs and I see a guy who I think can score, but also can pass it at a very high level, especially out in transition. He's one of the better on-ball defenders in this entire draft, I think. You look at the way that he plays when he's locked in. I think he's unbelievable on the ball. He's not quite Davion Mitchell, but in terms of long-term tools with the way that size matters in the NBA, if you wanted to make a case that you think Jalen Suggs is going to be a better defender in the NBA than Davion Mitchell, I would kind of buy that. I think he's a really, really high-level defender.
Wow. So speaking of Suggs, so I guess I want to flesh out this top 4 here because Cade's number 1, right? What was it? Woj today was saying that the Pistons are now maybe consider like what is that smoke? Like, isn't Cade number 1 the whole way, and Detroit was like people were the Rockets are apparently trying to trade up to get Cade because like people want Cade so badly.
Well,
And
he's
now all
from
of a
Texas
sudden,
too. Yeah.
now all of a sudden we're supposed to believe that Cade might not go number 1. That's not. There's no way that's true, right?
I mean, look, I've been reporting the whole way that I think that Detroit is going to undertake a process and is going to consider all avenues.
Wow.
I've heard some like people tell me that Troy Weaver really likes Jalen Green. I've heard some people tell me that Troy Weaver really likes Evan Mobley. Now, does he like them more than Cade Cunningham? I don't know. You know what I mean? But I'll say this too. From the jump, I absolutely wrote, as soon as the lottery got done, I will bet you that the Rockets make a attempt to get this number 1 overall pick, if only because they have a real package that they can offer Detroit. They have a future Detroit first round pick that they acquired in last year's draft. They have all of these picks from the James Harden deal. So if Detroit has even a relatively similar grade on Jalen Green and Evan Mobley as they do on Cade Cunningham, I mean, there's a world where I think that a trade could happen, but like, to me, it's like a no-brainer. I don't understand what anyone's talking about here. Like, Cade Cunningham is absolutely phenomenal, and he's 6'8" with a 7'1" wingspan, and he's a 3-level scorer, and he's an unbelievable passer, and he can defend, and he's like an elite level character guy. Like, I don't understand why we would be going down this road at this point, but
it feels,
you know,
unless you think Evan Mobley is like a true dominant big that could actually be something to, if you're trying to build a team to stop Giannis Antetokounmpo, if you think Evan Mobley could be that 5-man for you defensively, be that rim protection, and maybe develop into best case scenario DeAndre Ayton, but who knows, maybe better.
Yeah, he feels like DeAndre Ayton, where it's like that's not it could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. Like, he's slightly passive. What is your read on Mobley?
I love Mobley.
What is your comp for Mobley?
Yeah, I really like Evan Mobley too. I think like in terms of effectiveness, he's going to end up something like Chris Bosh. Stylistically, like, I do understand why people bring up the Giannis thing, because the way USC used him a lot this year was they'd like run him in dribble handoffs where he was both the guy accepting the dribble handoff and he was the guy that would be like handing the ball off, right? They'd run him in screen and rolls where he was both the guy handling the ball and the guy screening and rolling, right? So there's a lot of versatility to his game. He's an ambidextrous ball handler who can get to the rim. He's an underrated passer as well. But I mean, the big difference here in terms of what Evan Mobley brings to the table and Giannis is just like physically, right? Giannis has always had these enormous broad shoulders to where even when he was skinny at 19 years old, you kind of assumed that he was going to fill out at the end of the day. In the case of Evan Mobley, like, I'm not saying he's not going to gain weight, because I think he's at least going to gain like 20 pounds over the course of the next 5-6 years. But like, I don't really see that like outlier physical strength where he's going to be able to bully guys all the way across the rim. I understand people who are a little bit worried about him playing center long term, if only because he's not a very good defensive rebounder right now.
Interesting. So with staying on Mobley for a second, how much do you think fit matters in terms of I don't know. I'm trying to like flesh out what might happen this draft, and assuming there aren't trades and shakeups and whatever. We have Cade going 1 to Detroit, say, Jalen Green to Houston at 2. So now at 3, if you're the Cavs, you have to take Mobley or Suggs if you're using the pick, whatever. Assuming it's just, you know, like the draft goes like it is, and there's no trade up, whatever. How much do you think, if you're the Cleveland Cavaliers, and that is where you find yourself at number 3? Do you worry about having Garland and Sexton already on the team to where it's like, do we want to add Jalen Suggs to the mix? Why don't we take a big guy so we kind of address some of our needs? Is that a thing that still happens in the NBA, do you think? Or is it just take the best player? We believe that Jalen Suggs is better. We'll take him. We'll figure it out later. Maybe we trade one of these other guys. I don't know. We'll figure it out later. Just take the best player.
Look, I think Cleveland will take the best player at the end of the day. I do. I think every team feels a little bit differently about this. I think some teams certainly do draft for, I don't want to say like significant fit. I do think that a lot of teams in the NBA mostly, like, if they have guys in the same tier, they might start considering the way that they'll fit on the same team. But they're not going to go like outside of their draft tiers and like their draft ranges and just take a guy because, oh, we have a hole at small forward or something like that, right? In the case of Cleveland, Cleveland has had one of the worst defenses, in the NBA over the course of the last 3 years.
Yep.
And Evan Mobley makes sense for them. He can be a defensive anchor. The only thing that worries me about Cleveland right now is that Jared Allen is also a free agent this summer. And based on reporting, at least coming out of Cleveland, they feel somewhat likely to extend him on a relatively big money deal. And if you're drafting Evan Mobley, I don't really love the idea of extending Jared Allen for $17 million a year while you already have Kevin Love's cap hit on this roster. Let's not even just say Kevin Love, because who knows if Kevin Love's going to be on the roster. It's a lot of money to tie up in the front court before we even get to Larry Nance, who before he got hurt in February, I thought was the most effective out of all of them, outside of Evan, who wasn't on the team. So it's a weird fit in Cleveland, but I don't know that Cleveland is far enough along in its rebuild to where you pass on the guy that you think is best.
Yeah.
I would take Jalen Suggs, but I understand them maybe evaluating Evan Mobley higher than Jalen Suggs.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think Suggs' marketability in Cleveland, that's a great play. He's a great defender, so you get him and you say he is the primary guy for our team. He's going to lead us. We signed Jared Allen to be that rim protection. Now you have a legit big on that team. I mean, I like the fit with Suggs a whole lot more there. And then I love the idea of Mobley going forward to the Raptors because they need a center. And you made the Chris Bosh comparison already. I feel like, he goes to Toronto and actually fits in there.
I think I have the answer as to why all of a sudden Cade going number one might not feel like the lock we thought it was and all that, because I think this is a memo from Adam Silver to make the draft more interesting. Because before we had you on, Sam, I thought that the top four were going to fall in line almost, that it was going to be Cade, Jalen Green, Mobley to the Cavs, and then Suggs to Toronto. I thought that just seemed to be, and then the draft would start at pick 5, which is not interesting. You're saying, Sam, that what pick does the draft start for you? What pick is it like? I'm curious to see what they do here, because I could see, I legitimately do not know. It could go either way. Is it 3? Is it the Cavs at 3?
No, honestly, I think that the top 5 in some order is set, right?
Okay.
Something along the lines of Cade Cunningham, Jalen Green, Evan Mobley, Jalen Suggs, and then Scotty Barnes, I think, is going to go 5.
Okay.
I don't really think that teams have much of a difference teams do have a pretty substantial difference that I've talked to in terms of him versus Jonathan Kuminga. So I would expect that top 5 to go something like that. Once we get to 6 and 7, I think this thing is just totally up in the air, and you can just burn my mock draft if I'm being real.
Nice.
I just don't I don't know. I think that one of Jonathan Kuminga or James Bouknight is going to go 6 or 7. I think that the Warriors are considering 3 or 4 different guys at 7. I think that Orlando is a total wild card at 8. Sacramento seems like they're honed in on a couple of guys at 9, and then at 10, Memphis just moved up and came into the order and has thrown everything for a wrench. I think a lot of these picks are really up for grabs via trade, because everyone saw what Phoenix did this year. They moved from that 10-11 range in the draft last year up into the NBA Finals this year. And I think teams see it as a potential outcome, especially a team like New Orleans, for instance, that has this great young player in Zion Williamson, to where, hey, we can go sign Kyle Lowry, we can go maybe acquire a Jonas Valanciunas, and then maybe make our pick at 17, end up with a really good rookie. And we can spike up the order and end up in the top 4 in the Western Conference, which seems pretty wide open right now. So I think a lot of teams in that range are really trying to make moves up the Eastern and Western Conference hierarchy. And it's leading to some more significant trade discussions than I can remember, at least.
Well, that's awesome. So we have our answer. Top 5. Scotty, how much of it of Barnes going 5 is he's a Florida State guy and the Magic have the pick? Because that jumps out to me. That it's just
and it's wingspan.
It's just
John
a local
Hammond
guy.
Cannot resist wingspan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He looked at guys into the Gumpo, John Henson, Thon Maker, Larry Sanders. He was like, I don't care that guy. I want that guy.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, you guys watched college basketball as much as I did this year, if not more, obviously. Was there ever a point
We
where
watched
you
the
were like,
Ignite more, actually. We should be honest.
Yeah, I was busy breaking down the. I was,
I
like-
know Kaminga's game well.
was there ever a point where you were like, oh yeah, I'm watching a like for sure top 5 pick with Scotty Barnes?
As an ACC guy, I would say I see potential, but I'm not the biggest fan of
Yeah.
potential at all times. So I
Yeah.
mean, it's kind of like Scotty Barnes and Isaiah Todd to me are two guys that fall in the same realm of, and Zaire Williams too, where it's like I really like them. I see the potential. I want to. I could see them going as high as number 5.
throw Greg Brown into the mix
Greg
too.
Brown's in there,
You
you
caught
know?
Greg Brown at the right time. You're like, this guy's a
Kai
top.
Jones
Yeah.
could be in that class.
Yeah.
Where you're like, you could convince me that they're a top 5 pick on a given day, but then also you have to watch the full scope, and then you can't really. You can
Yeah.
easily talk yourself out of Scotty Barnes being the 5th pick, in my opinion, you know. And I can understand Kaminga almost jumping him because people say he skipped a year of high school, like he reclassed, so
Oh,
he
did he?
basically was a true
Yep.
18-year-old playing in the G League. So like I almost could convince myself that I'd rather have the kid that just went through that, who's super young and impressionable, and we can figure it out, than maybe Scotty Barnes. Scotty Barnes didn't show me enough to say he's definitely a top 5 pick.
Yeah.
But I see the potential.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm with you guys. Like I have Scotty at 6. I actually have Kaminga at 5. Like I would take Jonathan Kaminga
Nice.
over Scotty Barnes, but like NBA teams disagree apparently, and that's
Well,
all that I know.
How much?
And it's
How
like
much?
a consensus thing. Like it's not the just Orlando thing. Like most teams that
Yeah.
I talk to have a higher grade on Scotty Barnes than they do Jonathan Kaminga.
How much does the G League matter? Because we heard Jalen Green say that he believes that he would go number 1 if he would have gone to college.
Yeah.
And Kaminga and Jalen Green obviously ended college basketball when they decided to go to the G League, and college basketball, as we know it, will never be the same because of it.
It's over.
But in your sense, in talking to these teams, does that even matter, or do we just do idiots like Tate and I spend a lot of time talking about guys going to the G League versus Australia versus the overtime league versus what will prepare you best? At the end of the day, does that matter to NBA teams? What path you took to get here?
I think it matters to NBA teams insofar as they have to evaluate the context that each player is playing within, and each context is drastically different, right?
Yeah.
Like Josh Giddey in the NBL is playing in a professional league that is very physical, and like I've gone to those games. The refereeing in that league, I mean, you can just like fucking knock someone over in the paint and you're not going to get called for a foul.
Old
Like,
Big East, baby, let's go.
seriously, the NBL is like up-tempo old Big East.
I love it.
It's like
I
the
love it.
weirdest league.
I'm sold.
That's why we're losing in international
yeah.
play. We can't handle the physicality.
The NBL is like the NBA, like in a lot of ways in terms of spacing. It has obviously the same court, right? And I think that the court dimensions play a drastically important role that goes under discussed when kind of breaking down offensive play, because Jalen Green just had wider driving lanes this year than someone like Cade Cunningham did. He's playing with guys like Jarrett Jack. He's playing with real shooters. Whereas the highest three-point shooter that Cade Cunningham played with this year, who took more than, I think, like 23s on their team, was Avery Anderson, who shot 33%. So, like, every time Cade Cunningham was driving, he's 6'8", so he naturally takes up a greater degree of space in the paint when he drives, just because he's bigger. And then on top of it, defenses are collapsing into him and trying to just stop him and strip the ball and do everything. And that's why I think you see the turnover numbers as high as they do, or as high as they were, just because the context of his situation at Oklahoma State was that he was crowded every single time he drove into the paint. So, look, to answer your question, I don't think Jalen Green would have gone number 1 overall had he gone to college. I think that he probably would have averaged 20 points a game because I think he was going to go to Memphis. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Memphis or
Yeah.
Auburn.
Like,
I think he said both at different times.
Yeah, like hot take, watching the Penny Hardaway offense this year was like not ideal at times, right? So maybe they
I
did
think
need
the
someone like
offensive
Jalen
in
Green.
Penny's mind is just be better. He's like, you're a 5-star.
Yeah.
Just score.
Yeah. Go make shots.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah, I think that's probably what would have happened. He probably would have averaged 20 a game, and it, may have been oh, hey, like we've got this other great college player, but Cade Cunningham, I think, was always the most likely player to go number 1 in this class. I still see it that way at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Let's just cut to the chase. We put it off long enough. We have to talk about what we really had you on to talk about.
Playing Washington?
Yes, close. Joe Wieskamp.
Yes.
Tate and I have, as time has gone on since the college basketball season has ended, we have talked ourselves into, if the NBA draft happened,
We're in the Wieskamp.
if it happened in December, Sam, I think if I had more time, I think I would talk myself into Wieskamp going top 10. I'm slowly he's moving up my big board at an unprecedented rate. Tell me I'm not crazy, because if I was a GM, I would be willing to lose my job. I would be swinging for the fences with Joe Wieskamp. That he's exactly what you said. Every team is looking for more spacing. Every team is looking for the next Duncan Robinson. Joe Wieskamp. Every team. Why is Joe Wieskamp not a lock at first round, Sam? What's going on
Sixers pick number 28, Joe Wieskamp.
Yeah, I think that it makes sense, honestly. I've had Joe Wieskamp like top 50 most of the year. I don't know why people were like out on him. I have him at like 34, 35, something like that.
I'll take it.
Very early.
I mean, that's Malcolm Brogdon range.
Yeah.
Draymond Green range.
Yeah, like I think he's an absolutely elite shooter. Like there's no question about that. I know he had like a 40-inch vertical leap, but it feels like a Cody Zeller 40-inch vertical leap where he like doesn't actually play like that, right? Like when was the last time you saw Joe Wieskamp put one on someone's head, right?
It's a farm vertical or something. It doesn't count.
So I get the appeal. I think he's really bad on defense right now.
Sure.
Which is the significant problem, but he can really shoot off of movement, and I really think he's absolutely worth a guaranteed contract, which coming into the draft process, I don't think most people thought, which was just, like I said, like it was weird to me. Like people were almost surprised that he was like a guaranteed combine invite. And I was like, I don't know why you would be. He shot like 47% from 3 at Iowa.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
And he's 6'7". Like,
right.
Yeah. You sold us on 6'7" and 47% from 3.
What else do you need? Yeah.
If you want pace and space, it's Joe Wieskamp. Sam, I want to ask you about 2 guys that I think could potentially move up / have a lot of talent. The first one is Sharife Cooper. And I feel like as we've gotten around the draft, I've heard a lot of Jaden Springers. I've heard a lot of Cam Thomas. I've heard a lot of these, other guards that have kind of jumped the ship. Maybe they go as high as 8 or 9 or somewhere in that range. But Sharife Cooper, to me, I mean, I know he was young money, cash money. I know there were some things about his Auburn days that, weren't the best. He said he did want to, but he was going to opt out, but then he opted in. But natural talent, I mean, I love Sharife Cooper.
When he started playing, we thought he might be the best. Like, we're like, my God, is he the best freshman after all?
Exactly.
In the country?
Yeah.
He wasn't, but we thought it.
For one game.
for a moment in time.
So he showed us the flashes. So, like, what do you see Sharife Cooper? I've seen New York Knicks. They obviously like him. But I've also seen Cam Thomas there. But do you like Sharife Cooper? Because I'm a little bit in love with him.
I think Sharife Cooper is the best passer. He's the best live dribble passer in this class, and I think he's the best ball handler in this class. It's really hard to be like a 6'1" guard who weighs 170 pounds, who isn't a great shooter.
See, this is the thing, Sam. He tricked the system. He got listed as 6'4" at the combine. So, like, I saw him listed as 6'4", and then I thought he grew 3 inches. I was like, he might be the number 1
He's
pick.
still growing. He might be 3 years in the league, and he's 6'7".
Okay, so he is 6'1". That's good to know.
We've seen that man stand next to Bruce Pearl. Like, we know that he's not 6'4". Like, it's look, I love the skill set. Like, if he gets to the point where he can shoot, I totally agree with you. Like, I think there's a real possibility that he could be a starting caliber NBA point guard as someone that is this small. I'm a little bit skeptical on the shot. I don't love the way it comes out. I don't love the fact that he has this natural lean backward whenever he gets closed out on, because I think he feels like he has to try and get the shot up over these defenders who are just bigger and longer than he is. I think that just leads to some balance and rhythm difficulties for him. But if he can iron that out, I totally understand what you're saying. Like, I think he is a legitimate, probably going to enter the NBA as like a top 15, like combination passer, ball handler, point guard in the league. And that's like high praise at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you're the New York Knicks, you sign Chris Paul, you bring in Sharif Cooper, and you have Chris Paul be the show, and you have Cooper behind him, and you also have Quickly as his combo guard, and
then Duncan Robinson, free agent.
Duncan Robinson, $80 million contract, and Knicks are winning the championship.
Bada bing, bada boom.
Jim left.
What percentage of Duncan's contract are you guys getting?
Oh my God!
I mean, we're asking for 10.
Not enough. Not
we're
enough.
Asking for 10.
Hey, speaking of Duncan, in all seriousness, is there a prototype? Because what was it? 5 years ago, everyone in the draft was looking for the next Draymond Green.
Yeah.
Then Duncan Robinson comes on the scene, and maybe not everyone, but that was certainly seemed to be like we say it tongue in cheek, but like how much are we actually joking that Joe Wieskamp is the next Duncan Robinson?
True.
Is Duncan the prototype? I mean, obviously everyone wants the superstar, everyone wants the Giannis and the LeBrons, et cetera, et cetera. But when you're looking for like second round value, what is the prototype that teams are looking for? Is it still Duncan? Please tell me it's still Duncan.
I kind of do think it's still Duncan, if only because is just a very translatable skill to today's NBA. Like a lot of the guys that I have pretty high on my board are very high-level shooters.
Yeah.
I would say also like teams are starting to get smarter about evaluating defense and like finding the guys who are good within a team construct. Like Herb Jones, for instance. Like Herb Jones won the SEC Player of the Year, the Defensive Player of the Year in the league. I think he's starting to be like a guy like that is a likely top 40 pick this year, when 4 or 5 years ago, I think teams would have just looked at it and said, oh, he can't shoot. Like there's no way we can play him.
What about the Drew Holiday prototype? We call it that?
Yeah, like the high level defensive guard. I think teams are still looking for players who can play on both ends of the floor and not get destroyed while also being able to shoot, right? Like Chris Duarte. There's a reason that Chris Duarte has been high on my board the whole year, and that he's finally starting to like move up the mock draft, like people, right? And I'm one of the mock draft people, I guess, but like there's a reason that he's finally starting to climb up. It's because teams and the people who talk to like me and people like John Gavoni and Kevin O'Connor, right? I think they're starting to recognize how hard it is to find players that are good defensively who can also shoot and make decisions with the ball. It's a rarer skill set than what you would think at the highest level in the NBA. Like Pat Connaughton, for instance, just played a significant role on the NBA champion. I mean, Pat Connaughton's like okay defensively. He can hold up, but he's not a plus defender. And like the key though is that he can shoot and he can make decisions to where he doesn't like become a negative out there. You know, there's a reason that Dante DiVincenzo was such a big loss for Milwaukee. It's because they didn't have that like legitimate two-way guard. And then on the other side with Phoenix, like when Dario Saric went out, it was actually a pretty big deal for them.
Yeah,
because
Frank
they
had to play.
Ended up. Well, Frank had to play. Torrey Craig had to play. And Torrey Craig you're essentially playing 4-on-5 offensively, unfortunately, when he's out there. When Frank's out there, you're playing 4-on-5 defensively a lot of the time. Like, it's just hard whenever you lose that rotation player and you don't have a two-way, like, wing or a two-way forward who can enter the fold and actually be able to make plays on both ends of the floor and not take something away from your stars.
Are we worried that we have a college basketball free fall, Sam? Because, you know, I've heard Davion Mitchell is up there as high as 7, 8, 9, 10 range. So is Corey Kispert. But I'm a little bit worried. And usually we've seen typically, like Sean May was the 13th pick. You know, if you win the championship, you're going to get this bump, right? But I feel like the potential, there's a chance like Garuba and Josh Giddey go maybe before Corey Kispert or Davion Mitchell.
Jared Butler, is he a first-round lock?
Yeah, is Jared Butler going to be in the first round?
Zero respect for our National Player of the Year, by the way.
We need more. And Luka Garza, is he going to get drafted? That's another question. So we need these college basketball. And are we worried that this could happen? Because I've seen Giddey moving up. I've seen, I've seen Keon Johnson moving up. I've seen a lot of guys jumping up, and I've seen Davion dropping
also,
down.
Jalen Johnson, throw him in the mix. He didn't play college basketball. He quit on his team, as we remember. So,
I don't know if Jalen Johnson's going all that high. I'll say that.
Second round.
I don't know about that, but I don't know that he's going. Like his over/under right now, I think is like 14.5 by Vegas. Like I don't know that he's going lottery I'll say that.
That's great for college basketball. That's great for all the old people that like lost their minds.
That's
Which
like
I think I was one of them when he quit on this, and you're just delirious,
we
like
believe it.
incredulous.
We're
How
like,
could
what
you
do
quit?
mean you opt out? He doesn't know.
Here's the thing though about the Jalen Johnson thing. All of those like older guys that cover college basketball, right? A lot of the people in their same demographic and same age group run NBA teams. Like
That's true. That's true. That's a good point. Yeah,
they probably felt pretty similarly about the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, perception is reality, and if like all the boomers are thinking that, or all the whatever, then it is what it is. Maybe it'll affect any
Australian boomers think it too. All the boomers.
Oh my God. To get back to your actual question that I just derailed. Yeah, I'm a little bit worried about some of the college guys. Jared Butler unfortunately has this medical thing where he had to go through the fit play panel. So you almost need to like just kind of take him out of this conversation, because if he was healthy and look, I think he's healthy, but if he didn't have this medical concern, I don't really want to go into like detail on it necessarily. I think he's the one that would have been a clear top 20 pick, along with Davion Mitchell, who's also, I think, going to go somewhere in like the 11 to 15 range. Mm-hmm. So I think that those two would have been the players that really kind of, held up their end for the college guys. Yeah. Again, Chris Duarte, though, is like 24, and he's probably going to go somewhere, 14 to 20 at the end of the day.
Huge win for
another. Yeah, huge win for the olds. I love it. It's great.
Yeah, it's great.
Well, I have this exercise for you, because I wrote this is a great time to bust out this exercise, because I was curious about some college guys that are fringe guys, and I want to get your take. And we're going to frame it this way, Sam, and you can expand on any of these if you want, or you can just give us an answer. Who is more likely to be on an NBA roster in 5 years? Is the question. All right, so I'm going to give you two names, and you tell me which one of these guys is more likely to be in the NBA in 5 years. Aaron Henry or Marcus Garrett?
Ooh.
Aaron Henry, I would say.
All right.
I don't feel great about that one.
Confident.
That one's close.
Yeah, all right. Chris Smith or Isaiah Livers?
Ooh.
Isaiah Livers, for sure.
Wow, that one's easy. Why is that so easy?
Just the shooting at the end of the day. It's just such a clean fit for Livers, 6'7" guy who can knock down 40% from three. I think that if he hadn't injured his foot, he probably would have been someone we're talking about as like a clear top 45 pick in this draft.
Wow.
And I think he still might end up there at the end of the day.
Started over Duncan Robinson. So
if you're looking
for have that under his in all of his mock drafts, he should make sure to make that.
If you're looking for the next Duncan Robinson, why not get the guy who was originally better than Duncan Robinson?
Yes.
Start over. All right, here are a couple college names that our listeners will know well. Mac McClung or Maceo Teague?
Ooh.
Give me Maceo Teague, actually.
Yes.
I think Maceo Teague
is
a really good. Is Tate in the
I love
Maceo
Teague. Yeah. UNC Asheville for life. I love Maceo Teague. Teague's gonna be in the league. That's for sure. I mean, I love Mac McClung, but Teague's the right answer there.
All right. Sam Hauser or Matthew Hurt?
Ooh.
Neither.
I'm gonna say Sam Hauser.
That's a
honestly like.
Yes. Right.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna say Sam Hauser, but it's not. I don't know how great either.
You want to pick neither. You want to. Your face tells us all we need to know. You want to pick neither. I got two more. Dwayne Washington or Marcus Zagorowski?
Zagorowski for me.
No, Sam. What the hell?
Answer, Sam.
Sam, what?
Mark,
Sam,
we've watched probably 70 games of Dwayne Washington. Like the two of us have seen him. I don't know if we've watched every Ohio State game, but we've watched probably 2/3 of them that Dwayne has played.
You've seen enough.
But how much does?
At what point when you were watching Dwayne did you go, oh, that's an NBA player?
Especially against Oral Roberts.
At North Carolina, when he hits a three and he turns to me and Greg Oden and like grabbed his nuts to like beat Carolina by 25.
We opted out of that game. We opted out.
Sam, how much does it hurt Dwayne Washington's stock that he didn't get a chance to show what he could do in the NCAA tournament because Ohio State tested positive for COVID along with VCU and had to withdraw from the tournament? How much does that hurt his stock?
Yeah, Yeah, it really hurt him, I think.
Yeah.
Nothing ever happened in the NCAA tournament.
It definitely did not happen.
Nothing.
All right,
Florida's good.
the final one to put a bow on this little segment, Luka Garza or Cameron Krutwig?
Ooh.
Luka Garza, for sure.
Wow.
Cameron
Definitely
Krutwig,
Garza.
I saw Krutwig already signed with the Belgian team. He didn't even, I don't even know if he's in the draft.
Yeah, it's like,
He already signed he didn't even try for the NBA. He was just like, I'm going to Belgium. I see the right.
yeah, like I was reaching out to I was like talking to a couple NBL teams. I was like, do you guys think Cam Krutwig makes sense for you guys? Is that something that we're looking for here? And they were like, no, we've got enough big guys.
That's messed up. Is there a chance that Luka Garza gets a charity pick, Sam? I mean, that usually happens there, like, 55th, 56th, somewhere
What
in
about
that
Vlade?
range.
Vlade Divac's taken. Does he have a late second round pick? Because I could. Is Vlade even with the
Vlade's
Kings?
gone.
He's gone. That's
Yeah,
right.
Joe Dumars
Duh,
is
I knew
running
that.
the
As I
Kings.
said it, I was
Yeah.
like, wait a second, Vlade's gone.
But like, you never know who Vivek is actually listening to. Like, this is
You
in case he
might
calls
listen to
Vlade on draft
Vlade.
night. Yeah, Vlade, like, who do you think? 55. And Monty McNair is sitting there like, what are you doing? Like, why are you calling him? Yeah, I think there's a real chance. Like, if he goes anywhere from 40 to 60, I would not be surprised.
nice.
He's worked
That's
really
big.
hard.
Nice.
He's worked really hard in the pre-draft process to get his weight down, to change his body, to, make his game more applicable to the NBA.
Yeah.
I'm still significantly concerned about the athleticism. I
Yeah.
don't really
Yeah.
know how he defends at the next level, but he's positioned himself in the way that you would expect Luka Garza to position himself, because he is such a hard worker. And like, it's hard for me because like Luka Garza is the exact kind of guy that I really hate betting against in the NBA draft. These dudes that are just absolute killers who want to work, who are willing to do whatever it takes to make the NBA. I just really don't buy the athleticism, like translating. It sucks, but I'm just kind of.
He's got center blocks for feet. But
Yeah, it's a little Tyler Hansbrough. Like he's gonna work his way into the league for a few years, and then that'll be that.
Here's a question though: how much does it matter if you actually get drafted? Because I did a little research, and 20 years ago, there were 16 players from the 2000 draft that went undrafted, ended up getting minutes in the NBA, and they cracked into the league. 10 years ago, 22 players that were undrafted from the 2010 class, you understand, that went undrafted, made it to the NBA. Last year's draft, in the 2020 draft, there have already been 20 undrafted players that have gotten minutes in the NBA. And I feel like that's the one stat I cherry picked because it kind of felt anecdotal, where it's like there are so many guys that are having impacts in the NBA that are late second round guys that went undrafted, whatever. How much of it does it matter? Does it matter as much if you're a guy like Luka Garza? Are you and you go undrafted? Does that phase you whatsoever? It shouldn't, right?
No, the only thing that matters at this point is getting a guaranteed contract, just period.
Yeah.
Right? The way that the second round works at this point is that teams are calling around to agents, hey, would your player be willing to take a two-way contract if we draft him at number 48? Hey, would your guy be willing to take a two-way contract if we draft him at 55? And these agents are going to say, yeah, that'd be great. Like, we would love to play for your team. But more often than not, if you're doing a two-way deal, the odds are that you have a better chance to pick your own spot by going undrafted.
Yeah.
Because then it's in your representation's hands to be able to find the best place for you. Sometimes the teams, it's like obviously kind of a chicken and an egg thing. Like the teams that like you most are most likely the ones to draft you to be a two-way. So sometimes it's worth just taking the two-way to be drafted. But other times it makes more sense. Hey, like someone that we don't think is going to go undrafted right now is absolutely going to go undrafted this year because they get down into that 45 range and teams start calling, hey, are you willing to take a two-way? Hey, are you willing to take a two-way for our team? And the agents are going to say no. We want our player to go to summer league and try and make a roster as a guarantee guy and prove himself in front of the entire league when there are 30 opportunities for us to get a guaranteed deal. So
I think that's an important point to make for people that are going to watch the draft, because the old school way of thinking is that the draft is just basically the 60 best guys will get drafted. Yeah. And that is not the case. And if you're a fan of one of these guys, one of these guys played at your favorite school and you've been watching them all year, you're losing your mind. Like how was Aaron Henry? Well, Aaron Henry's a bad example. How is, like, say Isaiah Livers falls because of his foot deal, and you're a Michigan fan, you're losing your mind.
Yeah.
It very well could be Isaiah Livers is on the other end of these phone calls saying, "Don't draft me.
Yeah.
I don't want to be drafted.
I'm going to Miami.
Yeah, I want to. Yeah,
Pat Riley has already called me.
yeah.
Sam, one last guy I wanted to ask you about. You mentioned, your favorite player on your favorite team, Day'Ron Sharp. I mean, I see a young Moses Malone light in this situation. I see an absolute star. I'm shocked that he's not. I mean, I honestly, I'm shocked by these evaluators that they can't see what talent this man has.
What Roy Williams couldn't even see.
Well, Roy Williams just, look, it's a system. He had guys in front of him. Day'Ron Sharp, could we see him climbing up on draft night? Could we see him go as high as maybe like 21, something like that?
Yeah, I'll just be real about it. Like, he's one guy that I don't have a great feel for this year. Like, every year there are like quite a few guys, not quite a few, but like there are some players that I don't have an awesome feel for. Like Cam Thomas and Day'Ron Sharp this year are probably the two that, in terms of where they're going to end up, like what range they're going to end up like in on draft night, I don't really have a great sense. In the case of Sharp, I think it's like plausible that he ends up going somewhere in the 20s. I think it's just as plausible he ends up going like 40.
No.
It's just really hard.
No.
It's just really hard with these big guys a lot of the time, right? Like, so few teams want to use first-round picks on big guys just because there are fewer roster spots now in the NBA for true centers, and that's what Day'Ron is. And Day'Ron is a true center that's like 6'11" with a 7-foot wingspan, who might not be a great rim protector at the NBA. Like guys, even in college, had the ability to kind of finish over the top of him in a pretty real way. I actually think his feet are a little bit better than what they get credit for.
Exactly.
I think he has a chance to like not get destroyed out in ball screen coverages in the NBA. That and the passing, like those are the two main skills he brings to the table. So those are two important skills. And I think that if he went into some of these workouts and shot the heck out of the ball, like maybe he gets drafted at
I'll say this.
Whatever,
what I want, Sam, what I want Mitch Kupchak to do is to take that 11th pick. If Kai Jones is not there, if Zaire Williams is not there, he trades back and he takes Day'Ron. That's what I want.
Zaire is definitely going to be there at 11. Yeah,
so that's who we're taking. We're taking Zaire Williams.
Charlotte, 11?
Yes, at 11. That's who we're taking. Are you kidding me?
The man who was broken by Ted Valentine.
No, he's a star.
Can I ask you about one other guy, and then we will let you go. We know you're busy, Sam. You got 130,000 more words to write. But my pet pick.
Please God, no.
If my pet pick is not Dwayne Washington, and you've talked me out of this now, so I got to find someone to latch onto and cheer for. It's got to be Jason Preston, the kid from Ohio who beat Virginia in the first round, declared early for the draft, could have come back and played for Jeff Bowles, decided against it. If you're what?
I don't know. That seemed like a shot.
That seemed like a shot. No, I was explaining what happened. That's literally what happened.
All
right. If you're the Preston family, how optimistic are you feeling both for draft night and moving forward as his career will progress professionally here?
Yeah, I think he made the right call leaving. If only because I think it's going to be really hard. It would have been really hard for him to drum up as much momentum as he did late this year when, like, over the last month and a half of the season, Ohio was a top 40 team in the country. And they beat Virginia in the first round, and everyone, falls in love with his story, right? This was the time to capitalize, I thought. I think he goes somewhere in the top half of the second round at the end of the day.
Nice.
He's very polarizing. Some teams really like him. Some teams think it's just not going to work because of the athleticism and the questions shooting the basketball. I know he shot 40%, but it's more about what he looks like shooting the pull-up as much as anything. It doesn't look super fluid. So I think that there are teams out there that really genuinely love Jason Preston and will probably move into that, 30 to 40 range to pick him at the end of the day. But I would say him going into draft night is pretty fluid, if only because there are teams that are it's just a very polarizing player at the end of the day because it's such a weird game to evaluate.
But he'll get drafted if he wants to,
He's got to get drafted.
right?
He's got to get drafted for the story.
Yeah, so he can have
For
the
the
party.
30 for 30, he's got to get drafted.
I just think it's like a devastating story because he seems like a guy that's definitely gonna have a draft party, and if he goes undrafted, that's like the saddest looking
No,
scene
he's
ever.
getting drafted.
But, okay,
If you have
all
the
right.
58th
Yeah.
pick, 59th pick, 60th pick, you draft him.
Just for the story, yeah.
And if he says I won't do
So-
a two-way, you're just like, yeah, I'm not signing you.
Yes, someone will draft him. I think he's probably going to get a guaranteed contract at the end of the day.
Nice.
Because there are just enough teams that really like him. Like the guys that you have to worry about in that respect are the guys where, oh yeah, like we think he's fine, like we think he's okay.
Yeah.
The ones who have like really high level interest and then low level floors, I think those guys tend to get the guarantees in the second round a little bit more because teams tend to just really buy into them at the end of the day.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That checks out. His name is Sam Vecenie. You can read his work on The Athletic.
Yes.
You can listen to his podcast, Game Theory Podcast. He's the hardest working man in NBA draft coverage. Sam, before we let you go, you are talking to us from Australia. 2 years ago, you married an Australian woman. I was at the wedding. We've talked about it on the show before. We ran everyone in cornhole together. The two of us scored like 40 straight points, just dominated, and they're still talking about it. If you go back to that venue, I'm sure they got like some sort of record book
A plaque.
posted right there on this site 2 years ago. You were married to an Australian woman. You are living in Australia. The Olympics are going on. Australia's basketball team looks to be better than America's
Number one in the
basketball
power
team.
rankings right now.
My question is, Sam, where do your loyalties lie?
Yeah, the U.S. still. I would say I'm
Oh.
still rooting for the United States.
Good.
I love like all of the players on the Australian team, but come on, guys, like we gotta
Yeah.
I
I,
lo-
root for
love
the United
Matisse
States.
Thybulle. That's it.
How much longer living in Australia until you start developing an accent? Are you worried about that at all?
Yeah, like no, because look, like I had to work somewhat hard to get rid of any semblance of the Pittsburgh accent, like having grown up in Pittsburgh, right? I think I can stave off the Australian accent for as long as I need to, if only because like I'm on the phone with Americans all day to do my
That's
job.
true.
So like
That's true.
I feel pretty good about it. I'm still rolling along without
We'll
the,
be really concerned when you get like
hints
an
of
Eastern
Australia.
European Slovenian accent, because then we're gonna say, "Wow, it really is a global game." Sam's not even calling the U.S. anymore.
How else? But yeah, just put a bow on Australia. We'll let you go, I promise. But I'm just curious, how is life in Australia? How are things? How's it going? Setting up this interview broke my brain, if I'm being completely honest, because I was trying to figure out what day it even is in Australia, much less what time it will be and all that kind of stuff. So how has that been going for you, trying to like cover an American league, very much not in America?
So yeah, funny story about that. I actually most days like am not totally sure what day it is because my computer time and date is set to Pacific time still, so that I know what time it is in the United States when I'm trying to call people. So like right now it says on my computer 5 o'clock on Monday. So what, it's probably 10 a.m. on Tuesday, something like that. It's like it's not a natural conversion for me yet, put it that way. Yeah, no, it's great. Like I love it here. It's fantastic. I mean, the reason that my walls are like totally empty and it looks like I'm like a crazy person is that we just moved into this house and we haven't gotten a chance to like really fill it out because of work, and my wife has a bunch of things that she's dealing with work-wise, so we haven't gotten a chance to like really furnish the house in the way that we would like to, but hopefully post-draft we'll be able to do that.
Yeah, put your 130,000 words up all over the wall.
You should do that. Just get some
Yeah,
wallpaper.
that won't make me look crazy. Yeah.
You already look like Charlie Kelly enough. That's the last thing you need.
I know, like I will literally just be like doing the Pepe Sylvia thing, just like. Oh
Sam,
my God.
you're the best, man. Thanks for making time for us. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Sam.
Oh yeah, anytime, guys.
All right, thank you to Sam Vecenie. Always a blast talking to him. We're actually recording this part before we talked to Sam, so I have no idea what the hell we talked about, but Sam was awesome as always, wasn't he, Tate?
I think he was great. I hope he doesn't do anything terrible now that we're saying this, but I think he did a really good job.
I would love the idea of us like disagreeing on something and he just storms off the interview.
He quit the interview.
Disgust, and then it cuts to us being like, love to have Sam on the show.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
What a great time.
All right, let's before we go and do some shout outs, let's talk about the conference realignment stuff that we touched on last week because what was it, last Wednesday the bombshell came out that Texas and Oklahoma were trying to leave.
Yes.
And we spent a little time on the show just kind of basically laughing at it. It seemed inevitable, and as it turns out, it is, because Texas and Oklahoma have now officially said we're out of the Big 12.
Yes.
It's done.
Yes.
It's they're I don't know. It's supposed to, 2025 is like when the contract runs out, but they'll find a way.
This is a force majeure situation.
They're going to force their majeure.
They're absolutely out of here.
Yeah.
And now we all wait and see what happens, because this is a super conference now.
The SEC is now going to be a super conference, and the reason I want to revisit it is because of the dominoes that have already started falling. We were speculating on what dominoes would fall. I guess none have fallen yet, but the chatter out there has my head spinning, Tate.
Yes.
And some of the chatter, as you alluded to at the very top of the show, the ACC and the SEC merging. Is it realistic? Is it not? I don't know.
Jay Billis says yes.
You throw it out into the ether, and I see that.
SEC.
Oh my God.
SEC.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, you maybe trim some fat from the ACC, maybe even from the SEC. You find maybe 4 schools like a Boston College, a Pittsburgh, and you basically say, we'll pay you this amount of money, maybe like, $20 million to walk away from us. Good game.
You have a divorce settlement with
This is a settlement. We're gonna go full Bezos here. We're gonna say, you take this money, you do what you want with it, and they all go to the Big Ten. And the Big Ten says with open arms, we would love to have Boston College.
Yeah, that would make a ton of sense. I think the Big Ten would gladly take the rejects from the ACC. Yeah, that's exactly what. Are you nuts?
No. They'll take them. We'll throw them up there, because you guys now would have to form a super conference.
First of all, newsflash: the Big Ten is already a super conference. It's the most profitable conference in this country. So
not going to be for long.
Well, it is right now.
Wait till the SEC takes over. So I think the big thing. Look, I love the Southern Conference.
Okay.
I think that's, if you look at it, there's just some traditional teams, and then if you look at the ACC and the SEC, Jay Billis made this point. There's the rivalries. You got North Carolina. We hate South Carolina.
Do you?
Yes.
Okay.
Clemson hates South Carolina. Georgia hates Georgia Tech.
Okay.
Florida hates Florida State.
Okay.
Kentucky hates Louisville. We already have the rivalries. It makes a lot of sense, but there are obviously some, ancillary teams and programs that don't really have, those ties and those rivalries. Virginia's going to be fine. Virginia Tech, of course, they're going to be okay. But if you're a Boston College, if you're a Pittsburgh,
Syracuse.
Syracuse, like, see you in the Big Ten.
Well,
or maybe the Big East.
Why? I don't think the SEC would. I understand why you would think that they need to cut the fat, but I don't think that's the plan.
Wants North Carolina's market. They've tried over the years to figure out how to finesse it, and they've tried to talk to Carolina. They've tried to talk to NC State to get Carolina jealous. They've done things.
I don't think the SEC, if the SEC absorbs the ACC, I don't think they need to get rid of any teams. I think having 30 teams is fine. I think that's their plan. I think the SEC's plan is to have 1,000 teams. I think what we joked about 10 years ago happening when the conference realignment was going on, and then we started talking about, when we started the podcast, Manifest Delaney, that Jim Delaney's plan was to have literally every single team in college sports under the Big Ten umbrella. I think that's what Sankey's doing with the SEC. I think he realizes the writing on the wall is that the NCAA is dead, that we don't need the NCAA anymore.
Yeah.
That because I've made that point before. The NCAA exists to crown champions and to preserve amateurism. They no longer need to preserve amateurism.
Yep.
Now their only function is basically to hand out a trophy at the end of March Madness. Why do we need Mark Emmert?
We can do that ourselves.
We can do that. We don't need you to do that. We already do that. We already have our conferences and we hand out trophies. We don't need you, NCAA. The writing's on the wall. The NCAA is going to go away. So there's going to be a power vacuum. And the SEC, I think, is like, why don't we just get every single school, and now we are the NCAA.
Yes.
That's it. And that's what they're going to do. So I don't think they're even going to trim fat. I think they're going to try to...
No, but I don't think that they're going to go... I mean, it's the SEC. I think the SEC has like a line that they're not going to cross. Like, they're not going to go to the Western conferences. They're going to go to the Pac-12 and say, we want you guys. I think they're going to say, we want to create literally a super basically, G League or whatever, developmental league for baseball, basketball, football. And we're going to own this, and we're going to make it a monopoly and then cut out all these other guys.
But I think, and then the other guys are going to beg to get in. They're like, fine, get in, and we'll make more money from you. I mean,
Or
like either
compete with
way,
them.
yeah. But I don't think they need to compete with.
I think it might be 2 super conferences.
Yeah, that's where we're headed. And to that point, I think the dominoes that are going to fall is that because I want to reiterate a point I made on the last show, which is I was talking about the Big Ten going after Notre Dame, and I had people hit me up and say like Notre Dame's already in the ACC.
Mm-hmm.
They don't. Why would the Big Ten do? Why would Notre Dame do that? All that kind of stuff. Because there's also talk about like the Big Ten might add Kansas, they might add Iowa State, but why do they need to do that? The Big Ten's already set. They already have their number of teams. And I think the reason they're going to add teams is because of what I just said. There's going to be a power vacuum, and the Big Ten is like, take the old model of like, we have to have a small enough conference that we can play everybody in a round robin or like figure out scheduling.
Yeah, that's
Throw that out.
Yeah. That doesn't matter anymore.
Throw out even the TV market idea, which is like the reason Maryland and Rutgers were added to the Big Ten in the first place was for the DC and the New York TV markets. They don't need that anymore because everyone streams everything. The TV markets are dead. That's old way of thinking, Tate. The new way of thinking is the NCAA is dying. There's going to be a vacuum of who runs shit in college sports.
Yep.
And it's basically going to be a two-way race between the SEC and the Big Ten because they're the two giants in terms of money that exist in in college sports. And then the Pac-12 and the ACC are like kind of behind, and they're like, are we good? Should we absorb? Should we do our own thing? And the Pac-12 is like, maybe we just dominate the West. The ACC is like, maybe we can dominate whatever the hell the ACC is good at these days because it's certainly not basketball anymore. I don't know. So like, it wouldn't surprise me if the Big Ten, if
football. We're a football school.
Dude, what if the Big Ten tries to get Carolina and Duke? What if that happens?
No, we don't. We're not going to the Big Ten. We're going to the
All
SEC. We're going. We're going with the big money, and I think it's the end of the Big Ten. I think the SEC becomes a super conference. The SC is for super conference, and everything up in the Midwest.
You're trying to start a civil war. Is what you're doing. The way you're talking is like, I'm disgusted by the Big Ten.
I'm just saying,
we're
the
not
Big
going
Ten
north.
is secondhand news now, and the big money's down. Where Texas, Oklahoma, Carolina, Duke.
Jesus,
that's where
look
it
at
is.
you.
That's where it is. It's in the SEC. That's where it is.
So it's gonna be you're gonna be at like a Carolina Syracuse game, just chanting SEC.
No, Syracuse is out.
Okay.
We traded them.
You're going to the
They're in your
Carolina.
conference.
It's Carolina, Virginia Tech, and Tate's in the
conference
stands just going
warfare.
SEC.
I want it to be simple. I don't want it to be this 5-man conference, where we don't even know. It's just, maybe we bring in UCLA. Maybe it's just like the southern part of the U.S. Like UCLA gets pulled into the SEC. You know what I mean?
But don't you think, to that point, is that good for the country that we literally define it by the Mason-Dixon line?
That's not what we define
you know
it
what
by.
I mean?
Notre Dame is also in the SEC. We're
You're trying to get
taking Notre Dame.
So what
to the
are you
SEC.
giving the Big Ten?
Nothing. Zilch. The Big Ten's dead. No, I'm honestly very upset because I love the ACC, and it is sad because you said it. I mean, there's 2 powerhouses with money, and they're going to draw in either the Pac-12 or the ACC, and I'm just trying to get ahead of it. You know what I mean? Because I know that it's inevitable at this point.
Yeah.
The fact that Jay Billis is already on TV and saying that a merger is the best option,
But
it scares me because what I grew up with, and I mean, we already lost some of it when Maryland left. You know what I mean? Like the ACC that I love, the ACC that makes sense. It's slowly been deteriorating over the years. I mean, even adding Syracuse and Virginia Tech and Miami, I mean, all these things were a little bit, for lack of a better term, wonky. So at this point, it just makes me sad. But if I have a choice, if I'm North Carolina and Duke, there's no way I'm going to the Big Ten. I'm going to the SEC. Because I'm going for the big money, and I'm going for CBS.
The Big Ten is the most profitable. What are you talking about?
I want football, and I want the best
We're
football.
No.
No. You have one program.
Money.
You have one.
Cha-ching.
You have one
Do you
program.
hear that? That is the Big Ten.
We are going to beat South Carolina every year. That's what I also want to beat South Carolina.
You want to beat South Carolina? All right.
Yeah, I want that.
I'll hear that.
I want
hear that.
I need that.
But throw away the cultural
Georgia Tech meaning something. That's great.
That would be great. I'm with you. I'm with you.
Kentucky Louisville actually matters.
But
now
I'm saying, why can't the Big Ten get some of those schools?
No.
Why can't Duke, Carolina, and Virginia Tech?
It's a super conference.
What?
It's a super conference.
The Big Ten, yes.
No.
That's what I'm saying.
You were a secondary conference.
You think the Big Ten is going to sit on their hands and watch the SEC build a 30-team conference and not try to poach some of these schools?
I think right now it's an arms race to see who's going to get UCLA. I think it's the SEC is already going to UCLA, and I think the Big Ten needs to get UCLA.
I think the Big Ten is going to go after basically every school. I think the Big Ten is going to call Virginia.
I'm telling you, the SEC is going to get Duke and North Carolina. I believe that.
Okay.
I really do believe that.
Okay. I understand that you want it.
You guys can have NC State.
I'm telling you.
We will trade you NC State.
I guarantee
but we are
you
keeping Wake Forest as well.
If Jim Delaney was still in the driver's seat of the Big Ten,
North Carolina grad, by the way.
Carolina and Duke are in the Big Ten.
Yeah, of course.
That's a done deal.
Exactly.
It's a done deal.
But it's a new era. I don't know what Jim Phillips is going to do, but if I'm Jim Phillips, I get on the phone right now with the schools we were talking about, the outliers.
So who do you think Jim Phillips has?
Looks like.
Former Northwestern athletic director is now running your conference. Who do you think he has ties to, the SEC or the Big Ten? Who do you think he's going to stack the deck in favor of when it's time to divvy up these schools?
It would make no sense. It would be bad for both parties. It would be a bad investment for the Big Ten.
Who are you in bed with the basketball challenge right now? It's not the SEC ACC challenge, dude. That's not.
We're against Kentucky. Duke versus Kentucky, Carolina versus Kentucky in conference. Are you kidding me?
You have an opportunity.
Tennessee. I don't like Tennessee. I want to play Tennessee. Rick Barnes versus Roy Williams again. No. Oh my God, Roy Williams isn't even there. That just broke my heart. Rick Barnes versus Hubert Davis with Roy Williams in the background, kind of running things. The real truth of it is I'm putting on a brave face because I am very sad that the ACC and the Pac-12, the Pac-12 update, it could be going away very soon. So
I know the Pac-12, like the saving grace of the Pac-12 is that they're kind of on an island on the western half of that they could just
but the Big
build
Ten,
their own.
The Big Ten is calling them already.
I know the Pac-12 theoretically, I guess, could form its own super conference with like all the Western schools and like finally invite Gonzaga and just be like, we'll figure it out later. I know you don't have football, but like you're under our umbrella. San Diego State, come on. BYU, come on. Like we'll just figure it. Just start poaching teams and just have like this arsenal of teams. And it's like we have 43 teams in this conference. I don't know what we're doing with them, but we need them all.
Yes.
If you're in the Mountain Time Zone or the Pacific Time Zone, you're in the Pac-12. Congratulations. And we'll figure it out later. But yeah, that seems to be where it's headed, and it has my head spinning because the speculation you could throw out anything and it makes sense. That's why Duke and Carolina in the Big Ten, you cannot refute that. If you're somebody listening to me say that, you cannot look me in the eye and be like, that can definitely not happen, because it could, Tate. It could happen. It could happen. I know it makes you sick. I don't understand. That is shocking to me that the idea of being in the Big Ten. I felt like
because the ACC it would be like I'm going from number 2 to I think we're number 1, but I can understand why people say SEC is number 1 because we're talking about football and everything. But I just feel like it wouldn't be good for either party because we're going to be upset. Look at Maryland. Maryland's the perfect example. Maryland hates their lives. They don't want to be there. That would be us. That would be all of us. It's like we're literally Eric Bledsoe in Phoenix. I don't want to be here.
That you would have thought
that's
the SEC.
What we're saying to everybody.
The SEC thinks that they are the premier conference that represents the southern part of the United States, and you would think no, it's
we are
the
going to
SEC.
class up the joint. We're going to get the GPA
I thought you would hate the
up.
SEC.
Yes, I do hate them.
Then why do you want to join them, dude?
I want to beat them.
What is this?
I want to beat them.
How do you beat them by joining them?
Over. I want to manifest the whole situation where the ACC, the SEC runs the world. There we go.
What you're gonna beat them from within?
Yes, we're gonna dominate them.
Does that make any sense to you, Jim?
Yes.
What he's saying?
We are our own.
As the saying goes, if you can't beat them, join them.
No, we are going to join them, and then we're gonna beat you guys.
But the idea that you hate the SEC so much that you're gonna join the SEC to make them stronger.
I respect them and I hate them, but like that's gonna be fun. That's gonna be fun games. Are you kidding me? If I could go Saturday college football, North Carolina's playing at Auburn. Yes.
And no one's there because it's North Carolina. And
they're there. They're going to be there. We got the Heisman. We got the Heisman Trophy winner.
Or, hear me out, North Carolina, Ohio State, say? North Carolina.
I will not be at that game.
I'm sad. You made me sad. I really thought.
Michigan, Ohio State, I'm okay with.
I thought coming into the show today, I had the opportunity to sell you on the idea of the ACC and the Big Ten joining forces. We have the Super League.
They've already gotten to me.
We kill the SEC.
They've already gotten to me.
And you've already. It's disgusting.
It's precedent. I like the Southern Conference. I like the SEC.
We're going to take Virginia Tech, I think. I think the Big Ten's going after Virginia.
Virginia's going where we go.
That's not true.
Yes.
I talked to Virginia.
Virginia Tech.
I'm going to get Virginia on the phone right now.
Virginia Tech is actually on the chopping block.
You think
they're like right on the line. Like I can hear Virginia Tech. How about this? You guys can have NC State and Virginia Tech.
You have to give the Big Ten something. What can we have?
NC State, Virginia Tech, We're keeping Wake Forest.
No, that's not enough. That's not
enough.
that's no deal. We're taking Louisville then, and Notre Dame.
You can have Louisville.
We have Louisville and Notre Dame.
No,
and
we have
taking
Notre Dame.
Kentucky just for fun.
No, we have Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame is actually the chip that the ACC has to call the SEC.
But they don't really have Notre Dame if you don't have Notre Dame football.
We're saying we do. But we're saying we do.
If you don't have Notre Dame
We're
football.
saying that Notre Dame's in, and we haven't talked to them yet, but they're definitely in. We're gonna have to call them on the back end, but they're definitely in. That's our first point, though, when we call the SEC. We're like, do you want Carolina, Duke, and do you want Notre Dame? And if you're Sankey, you're like, yes and yes.
And then
Boom.
SEC signs off on Notre Dame, and Notre Dame's like, this is the first we're hearing of this. We're independent.
Pack up, boys. You're playing Sundays. You're playing on Saturdays.
Kansas to the Big Ten seems like it's happening. By the way, Kansas to the Big Ten seems like it's happening. And Iowa State has like got a lot of momentum in the last few days as Iowa State to the Big Ten.
See,
which
that was
I don't
a
hate.
perfect Big Ten team.
Iowa State, best 2-win basketball team of all time last year. People forget that.
Yeah. So Kansas will be good for the Big Ten, right?
Kansas would be awesome for the Big Ten.
That's what I'm saying. We're going to 2 super conferences. We're just going to be on. It's better for the show if we're on opposite sides.
That's fine, but I'm saying
the Big 40 versus the SEC.
I didn't think you'd be so excited about it.
Oh, I'm excited.
That's crazy to me.
I want to have South Carolina in my conference.
Okay, that's fine.
Beat them.
You can have them. I'm telling you, the Big Ten is going to break your heart taking all sorts of other schools in.
CBS football.
We're taking Louisville. We're not going to take Louisville. Louisville sucks.
I wish Vern would be calling the games.
We're taking Notre Dame. I got to call Kevin Warren after the show. I got to tell him.
Where did Kevin Warren go to school?
I forget. Let me look it up. That's got me worried, actually.
He went to Carolina.
Did he really?
I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure he did.
Where did he go to school? Let me see. Kevin Warren.
Come on, Carolina.
Oh yeah, that's right. He went to Penn, and then he went to Grand Canyon too. That's right. And then,
so you guys are getting the Pac-12.
Oh, University of Notre Dame Law School. Kevin Warren.
Doesn't check out.
Let's go. Let's go.
not adding up on my end.
Oh man. The last thought I have on all this too that I want to throw out is we got to go international. I think that's a galaxy brain move for the Big Ten to get the Carleton Ravens from Canada and inherit the Canadian dynasty. Get that, tap into the entire Canadian market. Bada bing, bada boom. We are beyond a super conference now. We are an international conference.
Yeah.
We are we are the conference in all of North America. That's cool that the SEC kind of has like this little pocket of the United States.
No, but everyone's watching.
We have all of North America. The Big Ten has all of North America.
We're going for Slovenia and Croatia as well. We want the next Tony Kukoc playing in our league.
Any shout outs before we go?
Oh man, honestly, that was the stupidest conversation I've ever had, but I had a great time doing it. I'm hurt. I want to shout out.
You know what pisses me off the most is that I still don't know how serious you are. That like we're gonna get done recording, you're gonna turn to me and be like, "Dude, that'd be kind of tight if Carolina went to the Big Ten." And I'm gonna be like, "What?" I'm gonna be so mad. There's a chance that happens.
I already know it's happening. I already know it's happening. I already know I'm staying in the. I know the SEC is taking us, so I'm accepting it. Man, honestly, just shout out to the Maui Invitational. Again, you and I are gonna be back for that. We're gonna have a great time. We're gonna see Mike Bray. That's my first shout out. I'm so rattled right now as I think about the fact that like I have so much ACC gear, and I went to every single ACC media day from like 2012 to like 2015. I represent the ACC. I love the ACC.
Okay, put it this way. Which conference is more likely to allow you to maintain your ACC heritage and not force you to adopt the new conference? The conference.
I wouldn't listen to the SEC. I'm not listening to them.
But
and we have friends like we're cool with LSU. Like we'll be okay. We'll be okay.
Between the Big Ten and SEC, North Carolina can join either one. Which conference is more likely to tell you to take down all your ACC banners because you're no longer in the ACC? And which one's like, yeah, you can leave them up if you want. We respect the heritage. The Big Ten will let you leave the banners up.
Yeah, I know, but
the SEC is going to say anything that happened before you joined this conference did not happen. Get it out of here. They're going to make you take Michael Jordan's banners down.
Oh my God.
They're going to make you get rid of everything. Dean Smith did not exist. He didn't exist. Wipe him from the history books.
This is so sad. Like, what are we doing? Why are we making super conferences? This is supposed to be a joke.
This has gone too far. Speaking of the ACC and guys being wiped from the history books, I certainly hope this doesn't happen with Coach K. I want to give him a quick shout out. Entering his final season as the head coach at Duke, maybe the final season the Duke's in the ACC. Maybe he's going to jump ship and then the ship sinks. Maybe that's it.
Very Vic Bubas of him. That's what Vic Bubas did. He started the Sun Belt Conference. So maybe Coach K is going to lead the new super conference, the SEC.
He's going to be the SEC
commissioner,
guy, the
leader,
super conference,
supreme leader, Coach K. Man, I hope this doesn't happen. The more we talk about it, the more I'm joking. I'm like, this sounds terrible. Save the ACC. Can I do that now? Can we save the ACC? Can we have some integrity?
Do you want to do like a telethon?
Yes. Yes.
Ask for money?
It's like me, Marquise Williams, like Jay Billis. Jay Williams somehow isn't there. We're like, we need Jay Williams. KD is trolling us.
I think the Big Ten should go after the Ivy League too. That's my other galaxy brain idea. Get all the Ivy League, and then you have that superiority.
That to the SEC. Because that's the other part. The ACC is coming to bring that GPA up. You know what I mean? That's why I couldn't be in the SEC. I'm like, we gotta get our GPA up. We're public Ivies.
So in your hypothetical world, the Big Ten is just going to
die.
You're like, we'll give the Big Ten Kansas State and Iowa State. The SEC is going to take every other school.
Yeah, we can give them nothing.
And there's nothing the Big Ten can do about it.
It's not fun.
I want to shout out Robbie Hummel before we go, who is taking a lot of L's lately. And I just wanted to say, Robbie, if you're out there, we're thinking of you, buddy, because first of all, he was on the Purdue alumni team that lost to Ohio State in the basketball tournament. Yeah, and he had like no help, and he was frustrated with the refs. And I don't know. I felt bad for Robbie that you could tell he wanted to be on Carmen's crew. He wanted to be on their Ohio State team. And get in line, Robbie. I want to be on the team. I wasn't invited either. But more importantly,
you lost to John Diebler.
Yeah,
that's more importantly.
More importantly,
hated that.
The Olympics are going on, Tate, and people are watching 3x3 as we call it. Those of us in the know, we don't call it 3-on-3. We have been doing the 3x3U deal.
3 years.
3 years now. Yeah, we've done it 3 years with Robbie. Robbie was on the United States team that tried to qualify for the Olympics. They did not qualify. And now I'm seeing Robbie take a lot of stray bullets from people that are just turning on the Olympics, watching 3-on-3, and then saying, how the hell did the USA not qualify? We sent out a bunch of bums. There were a bunch of bums on our team. On and on and on. And this man just cannot live. And I just wanted to say, Robbie, we're thinking of you, buddy. And that, it was not your fault. It
wasn't your fault.
It's not your fault. You have no help.
It's a very,
That's how it works. That's how it works in basketball circles, Tate. If you lose a game you're supposed to win, you just say the best player didn't have enough help. Robbie Hummel didn't have enough help. It's not your fault, Robbie. We have your back.
We need a super team.
We need to form a super team.
He needs better players around him.
I agree.
Yes.
I agree. And then my final shout out, speaking of the Olympics, I was watching Jason Lezak, the final leg of the 4x100 in 2008 when the French dude said, after France beat us in the basketball game, which, by the way, that happened. Yeah. And we start the Olympics by losing to France.
We could talk about that for like 30 minutes if we had to, but we'll skip because we can't do that.
I wanted to feel like we were better than France because that didn't sit well with me that we lost. So I went back and I watched 08, the 4x100 race when Lezak saves at the end, and the French team going into the race was like, we're gonna smash America and all that. And I rewatched it and I had chills, and it made it feel like the basketball game didn't even happen. So there you go. So shout out to Jason Lezak.
2016, the U.S. women 27 gold medals. Think about that. Just the U.S. women had 27 gold medals.
In 2016?
In 2016.
What am I thinking of?
The U.S. women themselves alone had 27.
Is that a lot?
That's a lot.
I don't know the context.
The context is that other countries like Great Britain
I don't know what a lot is. Okay, all right.
We had as many, just the women had as many. And now I'm looking at this team and I'm like, we're going to get bronze in basketball.
Jim, would you know how many gold medals is a lot?
No, not at all.
I was wondering 30 is that crazy for that?
30 is like the leader. That's usually the leader. Around like 30.
If you have 30 gold medals in an entire Olympics,
you're killing it.
Really?
Yeah, but I mean, we're not talking full medal count. Full medal count is a lot. It's like
we had 27
as just the U.S.
gold medals
as the U.S. women. Not even in the U.S. men, and the U.S. men had 27 themselves.
It's the most Big Ten stat of the day bullshit I've ever heard.
I'm just saying, that's how dominant we were. You were talking about reflecting nostalgia.
All right.
We were top dogs.
I was just trying to understand.
We're 3 straight Olympics. We had a 3-peat.
No, I love it. I'm with you. I'm excited. It gets the blood flowing.
But you know what's happening right now? We're 2004 Lakers.
I know.
You know what I mean? We got Karl Malone, we got Gary Payton, and we got no hope.
I know.
It's not good.
It's a bummer. It's a big time bummer. But whatever. We'll figure it out. All right. Thanks for listening. Thanks to Sam Vecenie for joining us. Thanks to Maui Invitational for giving us the big time scoop, and thanks to Kevin Warren for graduating from Notre Dame, so you can poach Notre Dame.
I was hoping he went to Carolina.
We appreciate it. See you guys.